Hi, this screencast is to walk you through the process of completing the LEQ 3 children's book assignment. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go into week 6 to open up my week 6 notebook, because this is where I'm going to find the assignment page as well as the pre-writing. So you're going to go to week 6 and then week 6 virtual notebook. And when I click on that assignment, I'll then click on my document. So this is my week 6 notebook, and I'm going to click on this big edit button right here to open it in its own tab so that it's not so small on my screen. So I'll click on edit, and now I'm opening my week 6 notebook in its own tab. So once my notebook is open, the first thing that I'm going to do is go down to slide 7, because that is where I'm going to find the assignment for LEQ 3. So this slide says, throughout this unit, we have analyzed how Matt de la Peña created his setting, characters, plot, and theme to build a coherent and interesting story. In this LEQ, you will utilize what you learned over the last 4 weeks to create your own children's book that teaches kids an important lesson. Requirements. The story must have a clear theme or lesson or moral that is important for kids to learn. The plot must use the hero's journey structure. There must be at least one round character, and steel characterization should be used in the creation of this character. There must be at least one dynamic character, and this can be the same character that is round. There must be a clear setting that influences the character's choices. So on this half of the slide, I'm going to answer each of these questions to kind of figure out what this prompt is asking me to do. So what is the format of the assignment? It says I'm going to be writing a book. So that's my format. My audience is children. So it's going to be a children's book. So I'll take out this and write children. It doesn't give me a topic. So my topic is actually going to be my choice. The purpose is to teach an important lesson. And the keywords in this prompt are, I have to have a theme, I have to have a hero's journey, I have to have a round character, dynamic character, steel characterization, and what else do I need? Oh, and a setting. So I'm being asked to write a children's book on a topic of my choice in order to teach an important lesson, and I have to include a theme, the hero's journey, a round character, a dynamic character, steel characterization, and a setting. So now what I'm going to do is click on this green box to go to the Padlet. So I'm going to click on this link, and here's where I'm going to find a bunch of brainstorming ideas that all the classes put together to come up with themes and lessons that are important for kids to learn. So I don't need to add anything to this Padlet at this point, but I can go in and I can find a theme that I really like and that I want to work with. So there's things like don't give into peer pressure, don't be a follower, always do the right thing, even if nobody is looking, do the right thing, treat others how you want to be treated. So whatever you want to pick from this list, or if you have an idea of your own, you can use for your brainstorming or for your theme, sorry. So one that I want to write my story about is, let's see, always do the right thing even if nobody is looking. So I'm going to copy this theme and I'm going to go back to my week 6 notebook, and then in slide number 8, I'm going to paste that theme into the red shape here. So my theme that I'm going to be focused on is always do the right thing, even if nobody is looking. So now what I need to do is come up with a story that is going to be able to teach kids that they should always do the right thing even if nobody's looking. So I need to think about where will this take place and put my setting in. What will my readers know about my round character? So, a round character is a character that we know a lot about and that has a lot of different personality traits. So, how old will the character be? What will they look like? What will they think about? What will they want? What will they dream for? Like, what are their motivations? All of that's going to go in this yellow box. In the green box, I'm going to describe the change that my dynamic character will go through. So how are they in the beginning, and then how do they change by the end? And then in the purple box, I will summarize what my story is about. So I'm going to fill all this out to help show my theme of always do the right thing, even if nobody is looking. Then, once I've got this filled out, I can start thinking about my plot outline. So, my plot is going to follow the hero's journey structure. So, the status quo is going to answer the question, what is the hero's life like at the start? So, what's the setting? Who is the character? And what's this world that this story takes place in? The call to adventure is when your character gets an invitation or some sort of calling to go on this journey. So, what is the moment that prompts them to leave their ordinary world? So, in We Were Here, Miguel's call to adventure is when Mong asks him to break out with him. So, what kind of moment like that are you going to include in your story? That's going to be the call to adventure. The assistance, so who or what helps your character get the push that they need to actually leave and go on the journey. And then the departure is when they actually leave. So if my story takes place in a school and my person finds this weird magic closet that seems to go to another realm, and my character says, I'm not so sure, and their friend says, no, we should do it. The moment that they actually go into that other world, that is the departure. Then the trials are going to be all of the little problems and challenges that your main character faces along the way. So in We Were Here, those are things like they beat up the racist store owner, they almost get caught by police, their money almost gets stolen, Mong dies. All of those things are the trials or the challenges that the character has to face. The approach is when your character faces their biggest fear or their biggest challenge. So, what is your character's deepest fear, and how are they going to face that, or when will they encounter that? That's the approach. The crisis is when your character faces death, or maybe they even die and come back to life. But this is like their lowest point. So once they face their biggest fear, do they almost lose? What does that look like? That's the crisis. The treasure is some sort of reward or recognition, or even like a medal, or in We Were Here, it could be Monk's tooth necklace, something that your character gets after they have gone through this approach and crisis. And then the result is what happens after that. So they face their biggest fear, they almost lose, they get some sort of treasure, and then what happens? That's the result. The return is when they go back to their regular world. So in my example from before, if that character went into this magical realm closet, the return is when they come back. So what will that look like in your story? Your new life is explaining how the character's life has changed after having gone through this whole journey. So what's different now than in the beginning? And then the resolution straightens out all of the plot lines. So it's kind of like wrapping it all together. So once you've got this whole pre-writing filled out, and you're good to go here, you're going to come back to Schoology and make sure that you submit your assignment. So you'll click on Submit Assignment, yes, submit, and then you are ready to start drafting your assignment. So I'm going to go into week 7 now and open up the drafting assignment. So now I'm going to week 7, and I'm going to open this assignment that says Monday drafting. This says open your children's book master copy in a new tab. Open your pre-writing at the end of your week 6 notebook in a new tab. And use your pre-writing to begin drafting your story. So I've got my pre-writing open here. And I'm going to, in a new tab, go to Schoology. And I'm going to go to my English class. And I'm going to open up my master copy of my book. So I have to go to week 7 and then book master copy. And just like I did for my virtual notebook, I'll click on my document and then click on edit to open it in its own tab. So now the tabs that I have open at the top are the Monday drafting assignment, the week 6 virtual notebook where my pre-writing is, and my master copy of my book. So what I'm going to do now is start transferring all my ideas from my outline over to my book. So let me open up a completed version of my pre-writing just to show you what this will look like. So if this is my pre-writing, I've got everything filled out, and I'm going to start copying and pasting my plot outline over to my slides. So on yours, slide 2 will say this is where your status quo goes, and I can just copy and paste what I already put in my plot outline into these slides, and that way I don't have to keep kind of flipping back and forth. It'll make my job easier. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to copy and paste each of these points into my work on the appropriate slides. And once I finish going through and adding all of my outline to the slides that they go on, I'm going to then go back and I'm going to expand on them. So I'm not just going to leave these 1 or 2 sentences on the slides and say, okay, I'm done. All I'm doing right now is transferring this over so I don't have to go flipping back and forth. I do need to go back and add more once I've done this. So let me just finish up adding all of my points to the slides. Okay, so I've added all of these points from my plot outline to my slides, and now I can start going through and expanding on them. So my status quo says that Miguel is serving a year in a group home and has to write in a journal. He doesn't get along with anyone. So what I need to do now is start thinking about how I'm going to incorporate my setting, incorporate details about who Miguel is, and introduce him to my readers and show that he doesn't get along with anyone. So I'm going to start expanding on what I've already written here. So I'm going to leave that at the top for now, just to keep it as a reminder. And then when I'm finished with this slide, I'll go back and delete it. But now I can use that to kind of help me focus in on it. So I could maybe start, once there was a boy named Miguel. And Miguel did something really bad to end up in a group home. And I'm just going to keep explaining that. So how am I going to show that he doesn't get along with anyone? When Miguel first gets to the group home, first got, because I said I'm talking in the past tense. So when Miguel first got to the group home, instead of making friends, he got into a fight on the very first day. And I'll, again, keep expanding that. So I'll include things like he got into a fight with the craziest person, and everybody tried to warn Miguel, like, don't mess with that guy. But Miguel wouldn't listen, and he didn't like them, and all of that. And I'll just keep adding and adding and adding until I feel like I've really explained where my setting is and who Miguel is as a character. And then I'm going to move on to the next slide. So my call to adventure is when Mong asks Miguel to break out of the lighthouse and go with him to Mexico. So again, I'm going to expand on this. So one day, the boy that Miguel fought on the first day approached Miguel and said, and I'm going to use dialogue, do you want to break out and go to Mexico with me? And then I'm going to include Miguel's reaction to this. I'm not just going to say, somebody said, do you want to go? I'm going to say, Miguel was really surprised because he hated this boy. And he thought the feeling was mutual. So again, I'm going to expand on that. And I'm just going to go through this whole process of looking at what I wrote in my outline and expanding on it on each slide until I've gone through all of them and I have finished my story. Once my story is complete, I've expanded on all of my points, I'm going to come back to the Monday drafting assignment and I'm going to click on Submit Assignment. Then I'm going to click on Resources, Apps, Google Drive, and then I'm going to need to click on Shared with Me, and I'm going to find my master copy of my book. So it's right here at the top. I'm going to click on the checkbox and then import file, and this is going to submit my version of my story as it is right now. So this is just submitting my draft to show, yes, I'm working on it and here's what I have so far. And this is going to allow me to still edit my book and revise it and all of that, but it's going to turn in what I have so far. So this might take a couple of minutes since it's kind of a big file with those since it's a book and that's a Google Slides. So I'm just going to wait patiently for that to upload, and then I will be finished with this assignment. So once that uploads, I will be able to see that my assignment has been submitted, and I can go back into the week 7 folder. On Tuesday, we did peer review, but there's nothing really to turn in for this. This was just a chance for you to get peer feedback. So if you didn't get a chance to do peer feedback, that is okay. If you would like feedback on your work before you begin revising, send me a message and I will take a look at your draft and leave some feedback on it for you. As for the rest of the week, on Wednesday, we will be working on revising. On Thursday, we're going to be working on editing. And then we will turn in our final drafts where it says week 7 book final draft toward the end of the folder. So make sure that you've completed your pre-writing and your first draft so that you will be able to revise, edit, and submit your final draft at the end of the week. And again, if you need any help with this assignment, please either reach out to me in a Schoology message or come to a small group or come to academic support, and I'll be more than happy to help you out.